Good morning, everybody. Peggy Berryhill and Mark Gross here in person, along with Woof the dog. And we are getting ready to bring you some KGUA writers. So, Mark, why don't you say hi?
Why don't I say hi?
There you go. Thank you.
I said hi.
You said hi. All right. And before we get started, just a couple of things. Man, I don't know how you guys are dealing with this humidity. I'm not used to it. Well, Mark was just from back east.
What humidity?
Yeah. What humidity?
I went to New Jersey this morning and the humidity was really high. Did you notice? I was crossing the George Washington Bridge and the humidity was high.
I know. It's so weird for us to have this kind of humidity. And it's 57 degrees. We have a 1 mile an hour wind and a 1 mile an hour gust. So this fog, humidity is going to stay here. We did get a nice rain. How about that? Little bitty rain, but man, everything counts and we just need so much more. But that was very nice. I hope you had a good weekend. We had a good weekend. What's going on here? All right, okay. I don't know what's going on. My Zoom screen is quiet. Okay. Anyway, rain, friendship, a lot of good friends this weekend. It's all been great. The farmer's market is open. Oh, I'm going to catch him while he's sipping his latte. You probably need to, you know what? I think we need you to turn around more so you're looking at the screen. Did you notice that when you looked at it?
Oh, that's me.
That's him.
And it's you.
And you and me.
And we're not on Zoom. Wait a minute. I'm all confused.
Can you fix that or screen?
Can I fix that screen? Now you want me to turn around the other way?
Now I want you to turn around. And
I already did my exercise. Okay, let's go.
You got to pick it up. All right. Yeah, that's your Mac. Okay, everybody. I guess we weren't ready this morning.
Okay, we're ready now.
We're ready. We're going to get moving here.
Okay.
So how come this isn't moving? I don't know why this isn't moving, but it says it's just sitting there. I don't know why. There it is. Okay, there we go.
I just went on.
Now now we're hearing it. Okay, here we go. Woo! So it's Monday. Let's get to it. It's KGUAWriters. Oh, wait a minute. What am I supposed to say?
Another wait a minute.
Another wait a minute. There's always a wait a minute. And what happened to that? Here, this thing. What's this thing called? Tomorrow is the day at Pay and Take where you can drop off your donations for kitchenware between 9 to 12 in the kitchenware department. Kitchen items, baskets, and artwork. And masks, which we're going to talk about soon, are required and social distancing. So that's coming up. Hi there, sweetheart. And that's all I know.
Are you talking to me?
I am. I guess I should look at you, shouldn't I, instead of turning my head? That's Mr. Wolf, whom you can't see. All right, let's just get to it. We have a great show. We've got a lot of audio. We have some written pieces. And Mark, tell us about the topic today and how it came about.
Well, it came about, and I don't know how it really came about. I think about a lot of the things during the week and what hits me from here, there, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Pride Month, and it used to be Pride Day, right? But now it's Pride Month. It's also Juneteenth. And when you think about all these things, I start thinking about, I'm speaking tomorrow at an event on LGBT on a timeline. And and June 15th is the day that California says, take off your mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the day that I'm speaking to LGBT on the future. So as I'm writing, I'm thinking, and all you writers know, you start writing one thing and then another thing happens. And I start to think of the idea of masks and the masks we've all worn
Mm-hmm.
over our life, first as marginalized people, but then I started thinking about all the masks we wear, and masks of feeling good, or masks of feeling sad, or hiding loneliness or happiness, or whatever, like I say to you, how you doing, Peggy? I'm doing great. And then later on we'll say, yeah, I had a really tough night, you know. So was that a mask or not? So I started thinking, like, we're taking off our masks June 15th, Pride Week. Woohoo. But how many people are not allowed or can't take off their masks because of issues they have, or illnesses, or protection, or hiding their identity because of safety?
Well, it certainly depends on which country you're
And
in,
it
to what
depends on
nation.
which country you're in. And as I'm writing this piece, I'm saying, people wear masks to feel secure. And then I started reading what were the famous masks in history. And I said to you just before we started, what were the famous masks? And what came to mind?
The Mask, the movie.
Yeah.
Gee, I've forgotten them already that I
The
came
Lone
up with.
Ranger,
The Lone Ranger and
Zorro,
Zorro, the Mask of Red Death.
right?
Is another.
Hannibal,
Oh, Hannibal. Ooh,
right?
creepy.
You see what you just did? Ooh, so, but did you know who Hannibal was? Batman, right? The Masked Crusaders. So, and do we wear a mask to commit a crime? So at the end of the day, you wear a mask to hide your identity. And then it started to make me think, why do people have to hide their identity? The very privileged that go to the Met opening that wear a mask. So it's a very thought-provoking thing that I'm still going through thinking about. And if we can take, to us, a mask is protection from droplets and virus. But for centuries, masks have hidden identities or insecurity. And I just read here, being maskless lets your authentic self show.
I think of Mardi Gras, which is another way of
Right.
people letting go, but not wanting people
Right.
to know who they are.
Right.
I mean, when you go to New Orleans is one of those cities that people just go and really let go. And it's a
Well, think
it's a
about, you
crazy
could even
place.
go one step further, which we won't get to, but think of the Folsom Fair, where, the leather fairs in San Francisco,
Yeah.
where, these S&M fairs, or whatever you want to, however you want to categorize them, there are people that could be very successful entrepreneurs that are all dressed up and wearing a mask to hide who they are. But what are you really hiding? And I know I'm going on because it's such a thought-provoking thing, because there's so much joy about taking off our mask now. But if you were having an issue this morning, let's say you said to me, I don't feel well, I can't go on the air, and you say, but I'm going to. Nobody knows on the other side of the mic how you look or how you feel. So you're wearing a mask for other people to enjoy. We wear masks for all these reasons.
Absolutely. The one thing we didn't talk about, and we are going to get to we are in the show, but we're going to get
Right.
to your readings and audio soon. There are ceremonial masks in many cultures that
Right.
allow the healer to call forth those spirits.
Sure.
And help them. I can think of in my early days when producer Barry Hill was turning into more of being invited to sit at those big tables,
right,
at those corporate rooms and asking for opinions and feeling like, oh, I don't know why I'm here. But terrified to be there because I'm with power brokers and
right.
Putting on what I felt like full body armor. To Teflon, so that I didn't, somebody disagreed or somebody said something in a harsh way, don't let it stick, and wear your mask. So you're wearing your mask of confidence when inside you're going, oh my God, what am I doing here?
And you needed to, as I did when I was at the Post for years, and you need to pivot to so many different people.
Yes.
Your personality. Like there's Peggy. Okay, I'm pivoting to Peggy because she's more of this kind of person. Oh, and there's Susan, or there's Jan, or there's Katie. It doesn't matter. You're always pivoting. So what mask are you putting on? That's not plastic. So people can say, oh, it's such a complicated, thought-provoking discussion. But I'm going to ask you a question. I'm putting you on the spot, and this is really on the spot. You have some kind of sensitivity to recognize faces and names, right? And yet you're engaged in conversations as an icon of the community. where everybody feels so personal to you. And you may go in your head, I know this face, I know this person, I can't connect the name with the person, but your face never shows that confusion.
Well, that's true. That's a learned
It's a
response.
learned, invisible mask.
And then sometimes, and then you learn how to say, I'm sorry, remind me where we met.
Right.
That's one of the phrases
And
that you
that's taking
learn.
off the mask to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting about the masks we wear. I was looking at what's the most common Halloween mask, and it was something like Darth Vader. Or last year it was Trump. Why do we even honor people we don't respect? I'm talking about personally, by wearing their mask. It's really it's an interesting thing. So I invite all the KGA writers as a thought-provoking prompt for the future. And I want to applaud and compliment the writers this week, because you'll hear how they've talked about that.
Well, maybe we should hear one or two. Why don't we
Three.
hear, or three? Why don't we hear three in a row, and then we'll be back. And since we've been talking, this is KGUA Writers on KGUA with Mark Gross, Wolf the Dog, and Peggy Berryhill. And our first three writers, we'll announce them after, or they may announce themselves. What?
It's okay.
Oh,
Played that. Missed it last week. Can I talk?
mhm.
We missed Candace last week on our side, so I put it in this week. So if you want to play it later, we could say, and from last week, masks and love letters to ourselves are really very
Okay.
related. So just, when do you want to play it? At the end?
Mhm.
Oh, I see. Sure. Perfect.
Where you going, Wolf? Come in. I'm gonna turn this. But you can still come in.
You want to come in?
Come on. Come on. Come on. It's okay. Come on. Yeah.
My beloved. My beloved. Hey. Hey. Come on. All the way down. This is great. This is. He leaves a lot of space in his recordings. That's, can you hear? Are you?
Tighten up.
It's very interesting with the mask thing. It's a very thought-provoking thing, how many people, it's really on top of my head because I'm delivering this LGBT thing tomorrow night. And as I started writing, it's like, wow, I'm doing this on June 15th and we can take off our masks. And how many people have worn masks their whole life? And is the future us taking off? It was very interesting. It's about an 11-minute read that I'm doing. Yeah, so it's really sat with me about me thinking about my own masks and being my authentic self. You know, at what point does taking off your mask make you a pioneer for others who are wearing masks? Right?
Right.
Very, very, you know.
It's like what I did this weekend with the sober thing.
Right. Exactly. I was thinking about that as I was writing. It's like, an icon of the community, and she's so comfortable on her own achievement. Now, why does she have to? I was reading this thing to a storyteller coach, and I said, you know, you take off your mask, you become a pioneer. And I said, no, and we probably would have picked it up to say, yeah, I'm sorry for the people I've hurt, you know, along the way. And Missy, big black girl, she's a storyteller. She says, this is amazing. Just one correction. Why are you apologizing for becoming your authentic self? Why are you saying, I'm sorry, I hurt you? You hurt you, but why are you apologizing on your journey to become your authentic self? Very, very interesting what an audience hears about what you're doing. And so I thought about how do you not apologize for people you've hurt along the way? And you're outweighing that by what you've done to become who you are, which is what they should respect.
Well, here we go. Okay, if you're watching us on the screen, you see us discussing all of this mask thing has really got Mark spinning and really thinking, and obviously you writers as well. Thank you. That was
Dave Stoloff, of course. And I want to say something, Dave. Thank you for doing that, because I have a background with Yiddish names, and you said Malka, and it just brought back memories of so many people in my older life that have passed on. And Barry, of course, with the smile on his face, which is terrific. And we start off with a little bit of Candace. We'll get to Candace a little bit later. It's a makeup from last week on a love letter.
Yeah, it took me by surprise.
Right, and love letters and a love letter to yourself and a mask are not disrelated.
Well, you know, there's so much to say about this mask and the masks we wear to be happy. Some people wear masks as disguises. Some wear, you know, and taking off a mask sometimes is more important. You know, have to be able to be, as you say, your authentic self.
Well, you know, we were just talking about, and Peggy, stop me because I'll ramble. So please say enough or give me the high sign, because it's not a fixed conversation. There's no answer. So you wear a mask to hide your identity, and then you take off your mask to be your authentic self. And you could hurt people along the way by becoming your authentic self for whatever reason, you know, like whatever. And then you apologize. I'm sorry, but I was not sober that night, or whatever. I'm sorry, but and then you apologize. But why apologize for becoming your authentic self?
I can think of reasons. I can think
Okay.
of sometimes when, you know, okay, you're from a community that's been oppressed and you've managed to move upward, whether you, I mean, you don't have to wear your mask anymore. And for a lot of people, you've left them behind.
But are
And
you apologizing, or are you making a statement like we can, or are you a pioneer?
Well, I think either way, I mean, it's not even so much, you know, yes, I'm having achievements, but some people are never going to get that chance. And some people feel like they've maybe betrayed other people by not staying in. It's the old thing, right? Ooh, it's the old thing of, you know, crabs in the bucket, right?
But how, right.
So, you know, apologizing for the fact that you got out of that and you'd not stand there in the
Who are you
mire.
apologizing to?
To who? The people that you thought were your peers. You were peers with.
Thought they were peers.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very long
Okay, that's
conversation.
enough.
Okay, shall we read?
Read.
Okay, I'm welcoming back for her second week, Daphne Watson. Thank you, Daphne, from Yuba City. What mask have I been wearing to the world? The mask of looking the part, being the part, the put together individual, the put together wardrobe, the corporate language that keeps the roof over my head and pays my bills. The idea that I give a whatever more about my career than anything else. When all it's about is breathing, one breath at a time. And that breathing is connected to my body, and my body is connected to mind, soul, which is interconnected to so many things. There's so much to care about: the trees, the air, the state of humanity, mindfulness, carrying water and chopping wood, getting back to the essence of what community means. My mask used to say and spout my allegiance to capitalism and loyalty to career. Now that mask is behind me now. There's more to life than that.
Mm, I like that.
Isn't that interesting? For a year, another thought, we've worn a mask for protection, life protection, but we also learned to live with ourselves. And while we wore one mask, we're taking off the other masks, which is what Daphne's words mean to me.
Thank you, Daphne. I'm going to read one, and then we're going to maybe go back to some of our other speakers. George Colmanson, new name to me. What does a mask mean to you? I keep imagining all the masks in my memory: highwaymen, surgeons, bank robbers, Japanese commuters, and for the past year, everybody. My mask has protected me, and for that I'm grateful. And it has also hidden me, and I don't like to be hidden. I miss the social cues that come with being able to see, hold faces, and I never became better at reading nuances from just the eyes. The barrier between me and the world was made even more intense when my glasses fogged over with every breath. Then I really felt cut off and unsafe. So usually I practiced a two-step process: off with the eyeglasses and on with the mask. There's a comfort connected with wearing a mask now. So I suppose there's something about it that I like. It's kind of a social sign too. Hey, we're both wearing masks. That must mean we are both progressives, or maybe paranoid. My wife and I talk every day about the right level of mask protection required by the current infections rate and how much we can depend on the vaccine's efficacy. It's part of our culture now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is a permanent feature of our lives.
You know, George, thank you. George Clemenson from Santa Rosa. That's another thing. We could take off our masks, but if you're unvaccinated, you're supposed to wear a mask. Is that correct?
I think so.
So what does that now say when you see somebody masked? What kind of profiling are you doing? That's not a question. It's just like to discuss. It's like, what does that mask mean now?
And there's some people who may not, who, as George is saying, may not be comfortable unmasking. You know, we've lost 600,000 people in the United States alone. I read that this morning several times, and then I rechecked it because that figure was so striking. 600,000 deaths.
Say one more thing about that. In 1 year.
1 year. So some people may want to remain masked, and but it is interesting what masking has, how it's enhanced us, or if we, feel it's, well, what's what we're learning from
And
our
maybe how to
readers.
learn to read eyes more, and frowns and wrinkles and no wrinkles, and look, maybe it's forcing us to look people in the eye more. There's another thought, instead of not looking people in the eye.
I don't know, now you got me studying your wrinkles.
Oh yeah.
Not that you have me.
I do. But what is it? The eyes are the windows to the soul. And people say, if somebody doesn't give me eye contact, right? We've heard that. Well, now we're forced more to look people in the eye. And I hope that stays. Okay, you want to read one or you want to go for some?
Let's listen to some people. Let's listen to these people. You ready?
I'm ready. Let me,
You should, Mark, would you mind reminding people what they're listening to?
KGUA FM, Wallala, on the southern Mendocino coast,
And
mile marker number 1.
There you go.
KGUAWriters, Peggy Berryhill, and some guy who is helping her today, and a dog.
And a dog.
I want to acknowledge these writers. Robin Bernstein is a new writer. She was part of the Mendocino Arts Center writing class. She's a brilliant materials artist, but she's writing now, and that was awesome. That was just beautifully done. The grappa, I could be in that room, and unveiled. The veil is another mask. It hides grief. And, again, it goes on and on, right? Mary Mulbert always, what you see is what you get. And we know that about Mary. And I appreciate that. And Dan, you know, how he wore the mask of one thing to teach the other thing. So I invite people to look into your own masks that you've worn and continue to write them and send them in. We'll see what happens.
You know what I was also struck by with Dave? Cheery voice.
Oh, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Very cheery voice.
Yeah, cheery voice, and a voice is a part of your mask.
And voices and the manipulation of your voice, and mask of confidence. And you know, we know each other several years. You know, I've worn a mask of an extrovert for many years, covering the introvert fear. And people would say, "Oh, I can't. You an introvert?" And it's like, the mask becomes part of you that you know that. Am I right? We talked about this forever.
Absolutely. Nobody, would believe that I'm, excuse me, I'm actually an introvert.
Right.
And I, being the public figure I am and all the things that I've done in my life, and then I, be at a big conference, give a speech, and then I have to run to my hotel room and hide and regenerate the energy. As long as I can go away and hide, I'm going to be okay.
Well, I'll never forget that. I'm going to compliment you, or just not put you on the spot with an answer, a question. But I remember going to Lincoln, Nebraska, where you were being honored. And I remember sitting in the back of the room before you got up and spoke. And you say, "What does this sound like?" How, and Susan doing an amazing support system with you in the background. And your eyes are focused on the people you know, and yet you command an audience, and everybody's saying, "I wish I was Peggy. I wish I could do that." I would, when people say, "Oh, you get up in front of a group," yeah. And somebody, I forget who it was, some famous person said, "No matter how much you speak in public, no matter how much you address an audience, if you don't have the butterflies in your stomach before you get up there, you're not going to be your best self."
And I have worked with many famous people, whether they're voice people or actors, and they all say the same thing. "Oh my God, I hate my voice. Oh, I can't stand watching myself." It's that human thing. I mean, there's a few people obviously who have these egos that can't fit through doors, but the rest of the people are pretty normal.
Well, think about some of the people that you've just said, the famous people, whoever they are, whatever fame is defined as, that you listen to them and you say, "Wow, they're just not a good speaker." I'd much rather see them in the movie.
Well, that's true too. All right. So thank you on that KGUAWriters. Boy, we're moving along here. I was afraid we were going to run out of time, and we can take a little breath. How about if I read?
Go ahead.
I have a Sue Miller.
Why am I surprised?
I know. I always end up
You like
Sue
Sue
Miller.
Miller. I like Sue Miller.
And Sue, I always refront you. What does mask mean to you? This is Sue Miller in Santa Rosa. I find the physical mask required to wear in stores and when you must be cautious so boring, so monotonous. I have a love-hate relationship with that mask. I know it has served me well, but I want to take it off for good. It's a new reality, the mask. I am grateful for it, and I appreciate it has helped me not develop COVID-19. What about the other masks I've worn in my life? What masks have I never taken off and still worn? A mask is defined as a covering worn over the face to disguise or protect. One can wear a mask to conceal one's true personality, character, or motives. My personal mask has been a source of protection from people. I am basically shy, and my personal invisible mask has protected me in situations where I feel uncomfortable, too vulnerable, and unsure of my situation. That is the mask I have not taken off yet. That mask has been a part of who I am, how I cope with my day-to-day life. I have learned to rely on it. Many times I don't feel confident to speak my truth in public. My internal mask protects me. I remember many years ago working in the county jail as a psychiatric nurse, and I would imagine a plexiglass shield around my body before I entered the jail setting. I would listen to some music of Johann Pachelbel, put on my shield, and I was grounded, ready to enter the jail setting. The shield of my mask of protection as my environment changed to one that was less safe, full of experiences that might include violence, loud sounds, bad smells, and interactions with people who may be out of control. Masks have served me well in life. I am grateful for them, and I still look forward to shedding that paper or cloth mask I have been forced to wear since the pandemic. I look to the future saying, hallelujah. When can I take it off for good?
I just love, I love these. And I'm going to ask the audience a question. How many of you now saying, that's me?
That's right.
Wait a minute, that's me. You're busted. But that's what writing does to KGUA writers and listeners. You tell a story not only for yourself, you tell a story for somebody to hear that their story is understood as well.
And I think, that Sue Miller spoke for so many people when
Right.
we were talking before that about the masks we wear for safety,
Right.
or the mask of confidence,
Right.
but having to go into the situation she had to go into when you have to put on that
That's
mask
right.
to save your life.
That's right. Well, think of some of the controversial figures that you've interviewed over the years, that may be on an opposite side of a platform that you believe in, right? And you have to wear a mask of sincerity. Think about that term, a mask of sincerity for the person that you're interviewing.
This morning, watching the young reporter interviewing Vladimir Putin,
Mm,
who was just laughing with his eyes. It was really, you could just see there was a little bit of taunting and going on. And at the end of the interview, Vladimir Putin applauded him, but not in a nice way.
You just said such an incredible thing. He was laughing with his eyes, and you saw it through his eyes.
All right.
Was he masked?
No.
Oh,
Well, yes and no.
yes and no. And
Yeah.
so really, I would like to get a group of people one day live in a live forum, Miriam Olbert, Sue Miller, how people can take off their masks. Yeah, and Mary certainly had issues to take off her, but so kudos to everybody for telling your story and everybody else's story. All right, we've got a couple of more audios.
Mhm.
You want to play something, and then we have a couple more written.
Let's go for it. Let's do 2 in a row here. And then we have that special one we're
Right.
going to save from last week.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Stopping.
I have to, I'm blown away by these. It's funny, I listened to Jan's piece after because it came in late. I said, I don't know if this will get uploaded quickly. Can you give me a written part, a written version? She says, I didn't write it. And then I heard it. But I love what she said. Both Jan Littleton and John Allen Can, the readers just now, talk about writing as lifting a mask. So we're writers here. And I love that Jan said, I was just talking about this last week in a class about using third person to talk about what comes out in the way that John said, another person, but it's really you, the W. So if you write it third person like Jan did, and then you find I just couldn't do it because it's taking away from the I, right? And you and I have talked about this for so many times that it's much easier. I sat in the studio with Peggy and she was looking a little bit, preoccupied, or she was looking happy. And I imagine that she must have had this happen instead of saying, Peggy writing, I'm feeling crappy today. So,
Or Peggy was feeling crappy today.
Or Peggy
thought that this, that incident on the way into work
that's right,
affected her more than she wanted to admit.
Right. So writers, try third person when it's difficult and then change it to first or the other way around. And John, thank you. They're all us. Every story we are telling is a voice in our head wanting to be heard.
Absolutely.
So
I love
give that voice some paper or device and let it out. And yeah, Jan, it's really hard when we want to talk about our feelings, but you all said the same thing. Be grateful, be proud that you're talking somebody else's story that couldn't put it down and you made them feel better.
Well, I have a story here from Lori Young, written 2 days ago, called Mask Still Worn. Greetings from Lake County, Mark and Peggy, and our dear radio writers of renown. Is it renown or renown?
Renown.
Renown, I think, yeah.
I think.
My husband and I used this week to travel back to our summertime place overlooking Clear Lake, closer to Walla than usual, back in Northern California for now. Writing from Nice. The mask still worn may be removed for 10 minutes to write this prompt. The shield has been my stomach muscles. They tighten without my awareness and lead me to take on a belly aching tone with others when I least expect it. I want to wear a permanent mask of reason and logic, but my feelings will seep through the lining of my stomach if I don't pay attention. Pandemic stress has affected probably everyone we know. Me and my stomach go around pretending we are fine. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes muscles hold me back, keep my stomach glued to my back like a fine ballet dancer postured to perform. I imagine that KGUA radio writers will remain a body part or function. I want to write a practical write, put on a writer's mask of being sensible and maybe even coherent. That's hard. I think it's the freedom of these prompts, crafted as if on the fly by Mark, inspired by Peggy, and each one of the writers and readers. How about that? And each one of the writers and readers on the radio. I am learning to use this stomach clenching as a clue to let it go. Notice, breathe, feel the relief. Quiet now, safe now, go easy. We were just talking about that before we went on the air.
Isn't it incredible how our writers have evolved into such beautiful, awesome, sincere, authentic writing? Even the new editions that have come across, if you look at the words coming out from the writing each week, one blends into the other.
Very inspiring. How they're willing to show my stomach, is guiding me or whatever it is, it gives you joy. Project that I've been working now for a long time is Mark and everyone is pushing me to write my story.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing to do, to write about me.
That's right.
I can write about different circumstances where I was there.
Right.
But see, I still see myself as when I was there. That's the
When you were
journalist in me, when I was there.
Right.
And people here are opening up and all of these truths. It's very inspiring.
It's very inspiring. And I love what Lori said about writing on the fly. Free write is amazing. I'm teaching another class on free writing starting in a few weeks. Free writing and storytelling is just hand in hand in your writing, but we're going to do an event, you and I, Peggy. You ready?
Oh.
You ready?
Okay.
Peggy and I are going to do a live event for the audience to watch the clashing of a journalistic mind and a creative writing mind. And we're going to put a prompt on, Peggy, the year is 1962. Where were you? And we've got 5 minutes to write it in all the detail. And I'll probably be furiously writing, saying, is it over? Oh my God, and Peggy will say, let's see, where was I? Was I at the corner facing north or south? I can't say the wrong thing. And at the end, I'll have probably about 5 pages and you'll have like, it was 1972.
Exactly. I don't even know if I can remember that year with my memory, but there's this, oh my God, there's so much. I completely forgot what I was going to say. You distracted me.
I love
He
that.
loves
And
distracting
Peggy
me.
can't, if she can't in her head say exactly what she was supposed to say. She's baffled. So I'm going to read while she digs into her head and say, what was I supposed to say? Anonymous girl, thank you. Whenever I tell myself to think about the masks I wear, all that comes to mind is the skins I've shed. Maybe that is the sacred feminine, the ability to shed, to reinvent. Maybe it's just a blessing of age, welcoming the crone who makes no apologies, tolerates no pretense. Some days I feel invisible. A new thickness clings to my middle. Blonde hair succumbs to gray. Other days, moments really, I feel truly visible as the woman I actually am. No need for artifice or protecting fragile egos. I am the me of now. I am all the me's I have ever been. And I want to make sure we play the last audio, but I will say one thing about this and we'll talk after. Are we all snakes that have to shed skins?
And do we, you know, do we have to wait that long to be the crone that can do anything,
Right,
you know,
right.
can say anything? All of that life wasted when you could have gotten rid of this
Right.
out of your system, honestly, and you don't have to harm people. You can be
Right.
honest.
Take off your mask tomorrow. We're allowed to, but you think about another mask. Don't take off your mask to keep wearing another mask underneath it.
Yeah.
You think about that. Let's play number 8. And this is thank you, Candace, for last week. And it's very relevant as a closing to the readings for this week.
All right.
Call from 7083975.
Candace, don't sell yourself short. Optimism may not be in your DNA. Optimism may be in your hearts and soul. Thank you for that. there's so much, and I'm gonna go right into a prompt for next week, which I was thinking about this morning, but now even after hearing all this, when you edit, it's one thing. When you hear it, listen, and sit back, you hear a whole different thing. Last week, we wrote a love letter to ourselves. This week, we talked about the masks we wore or wear and taking them off, physically and metaphorically. There's another part of this. It's Pride Month. Pride is not limited to just what the month has become to symbolize, pride of identity. But for next week, think of your proudest moment or something you're proud of that you've achieved or have done, or take a moment to recognize and be proud of someone else and talk about that. So the prompt is pride, but really, you're already open because of your love letter, because of your mask. Now it's time to say, I am really proud of this, or I am really proud of, and let them know that, or do both,
You know what I'm really proud of? I'm so proud that dogs get to come in here and feel so relaxed. They just snore.
And
Well, luckily that can't go over the air. These have been Candace, that was so delightful.
it was delightful.
And it was so funny, Mark and I both picked up on the same phrase, only, in your DNA. I love that it can be in our DNA, and maybe we've
Right.
buried it, or other circumstances have, for anybody who's done therapy, when you look
right.
for the rainbow, you
That's
get out from under those dark clouds and you find out that the rainbows are there, even under the darkness,
That's right.
it's always there. And that's so, so important. I want to say one thing before we leave. This is a writer's show. Natalie
Diaz won the Pulitzer, and Louise Erdrich.
And Louise Erdrich,
and
and people love Louise. Now Louise is a woman I don't believe does free writes. You ever read her books? Her books.
She's very crafted.
She is so crafted. Absolutely. And when Natalie does, it's
Natalie's
not a free
amazing.
write, but it's, she said things about self that have
Right.
not been said before, both Indigenous women. So hats off to them, and to the honorary Pulitzer, to the young woman who
to
shot
the young woman with the video.
video.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Darnell
just.
Foster.
uh,
Oh gosh, I forgot her name. But anyway, I think that was a really amazing thing, and it shows a change in the world too, from
Well,
Pulitzer.
it does, and I think that's all really important. And all you writers are just, your free writes are just incredible. I am teaching another class, storytelling and free writing, and
Yeah, let's keep Mark busy.
yeah, you're keeping me busy, but anything to get your stories out. And Candace, I think optimism just may be a mask you never put on. It's just who you are.
That's right.
And you speak, and everybody from Jan Littleton to take off the mask, be who you are. We love you all, and keep writing.
All right. Well, now it is the mask of KGUA, and it is time. Thank you, Mark. Thank you,
Penny.
writers. You don't go away. And I now will take us to Native America, calling live from Albuquerque, New Mexico on this humid, foggy day. Hello.
That was awesome.
Okay. Whew. Candace, what a hoot.
She's incredible.
Yeah, what a hoot. That is so important to what
Well, it's interesting how we missed it by accident in the beginning, right? How we said, and then it was so perfect at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome.
Okay, I gotta stop all this.
The writers are amazing, Peggy.
They are.
The whole thing is just,
But where
we've
are
really
they?
accomplished more than we thought was even possible.
I agree. Here we go.